The beginning of this process began with the idea of a museum in drag, filtering the traditional programmatic elements of a museum through the themes of drag, such as excess scale and the grand theatrical display of creativity. In essence, to reinvent the traditional sense of a museum. My proposal is called the Red Hook Institute of Play. One of the main themes of drag is the expression of creativity. Digging deeper, I started at the beginning of creativity, childhood. Creativity and imagination are infused in every aspect of a child's life, from playtime to learning to engaging the world around them. Children are able to tap into their unbridled imagination without the burdens of bills, reputations, family problems, etc. Kids are free to just play. Play is not only about fun, but also understanding and connecting with the big world around them. Children learn best through play because they interact and bring the concepts down to their level. Interaction and play learning is the basic premise for all children's museums. I found this idea interesting and sought to discover how play translates into learning. Basic methods of play learning all employ systems of pattern, repetition, and interaction, from complex children's museums to classrooms to well-known kids' toys. This basic toy, like many others, is laid out in a grid, and this simple organization aids in the ease of comprehension, while the repetitive extruding and intruding of shaped blocks into the correct slots encourages learning through trial and error. Using the ideas, I began exploring my own creativity by creating a sculpture using familiar kids' mediums, Lego-like blocks and Tinker Toys. From this sculptural exploration, I identified several architectural systems at work: the kit of parts, the specific modular relationships between these parts, repetitive patterns, and playful arrangement of the whole. It was through the creation of this sculpture that my concept emerged. By thinking and engaging creatively and just playing, like a kid, I was able to create something and effectively analyze the outcome. Adults could benefit from this creative learning process, unlocking knowledge and imagination and engaging their world more effectively. Thus, the idea of the Children's Museum for Grown-Ups was born. I needed to determine what specific programmatic elements were needed. First, an exhibition space full of permanent and rotating interactive exhibits geared towards engaging and teaching adults. Hands-on, immersive, and fun. Next, a performance venue for concerts, theater, and performance art, since these are a few traditional ways for adults to express creativity and have fun. Finally, a space for classrooms and permanent offices from which to plan and hold classes, seminars, and other events geared at unlocking the creative imagination of grown-ups. With concept in mind, I took to Red Hook to explore and learn more about the area. I realized that many visual connections could be made between Red Hook and my research in sculpture. The ideas of a kit of parts and repetitive modular patterns are abundant in both building construction and arrangement, as well as roads, walkways, and other urban architecture. With pattern in mind, I analyzed the map of the area like I had the kid's toy. I found two organizational systems at work: the regulated pattern of the street grid, incorporating different program into uniform lots within uniform blocks, and the irregular coastline encompassing similar program in a variety of lot sizes and shapes with many different forms. Within that regular street grid, you find unlimited program possibilities within uniform spaces created with a kit of parts. The kit can be combined as desired as long as the resulting space conforms to the block and lot boundaries of the street grid, regardless of program. Program does not define space here. Conversely, I found the coastline area completely defined by program. The coastline was defined and altered based on programmatic needs like ports and slips. Boundaries were broken and reformed depending on the formal specialization of necessity. Program extruded and intruded the coastlines as needed, much like the push and pull of the kid's toy. I wanted to incorporate these street grid and coastline ideas into my design, since the site is such a figurehead of the neighborhood. To see how the neighborhood specifically engaged the grain terminal, I extended the lines of the nearby streets to see how they intersected the existing buildings. This became the basis for my organization of space. Zooming in, we can better understand the spatial organization. The exhibition space will occupy the central area, acting as a connector between the performance venue and office classroom space at either end, with 3 stair towers in their existing location. Everything is connected through a common open first floor. For the design of the specific spaces, I wanted to employ systems similar to these organizing the neighborhood. Since exhibition space must change based on exhibits, while still occupying a relatively static space, I chose to utilize the kit of parts idea, with changing program conforming to existing spatial boundaries like the street grid. The kit included the existing silos, either alone or in groups, with stationary and movable platforms. Interior space can be altered, but must remain within set limits of the silos. The classroom and office space functioned more like the coastline. These permanent areas had permanent programmatic needs, and therefore the spaces are defined by program. As such, programmatic volumes can alter the existing building, extruding and intruding the existing space to meet their needs. This also relates back to the idea of the kid's toy. The performance space combined with the ideas of temporary and permanent needs. Seating was a major necessity, so it could alter the existing space. By slicing the silos at different heights and intersecting platforms, I could utilize each like a suite or box seats, and still retain the idea of stadium seating. I also wanted to incorporate a glass cube to allow New York and the neighborhood to be a backdrop for the creative. With the concepts for the separate spaces in place, I tried to tap into my own creative imagination and utilize my research to lay out the design of the existing building. Employing the systems I had uncovered, I produced a rendering of a perspective of my design. I was able to breathe life into my imagination and see the relationships between the spaces. For the exhibition space, I engaged the existing silos by carving spaces within. No two levels are the same, representing the idea of unlimited possibility within the kit of parts. The enclosed interior opens to the air through the extruded silos at the roof level, and windows provide light and view for the exterior spaces. The kit of parts also allowed for the play of excess scale both vertically and horizontally. The office and classroom spaces emerged as red volumes of differing size, extruding from and penetrating the existing silos. Again, I played with excess scale on both axes, manipulating dimension. While the exhibition spaces are more enclosed, these spaces feature giant windows looking out on the neighborhood and the city. The color and the shape relate to both the children's toy and the shipping containers found in abundance around the neighborhood. The performance venue took the exterior form of a giant glass cube. It takes the idea of childlike rectilinear shapes started by the classrooms and literally turns it on its side, rotated at the same angle of the Red Hook Street grid. It provides expansive views, allowing New York to penetrate the stage and perform. The silo seating suites provide a unique vantage point for the stage below while fostering interaction.